Hello, everyone, and welcome to this installment of the Daily Cannon Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here with the tactical tweaks and quirks that came from Arsenal's rather interesting 1-0 win over Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last night. Very much a tale of two teams. One, trying to win a game and one trying not to lose it. And yeah, this discussion is going to be very interesting on how, especially if you're an Arsenal fan, you viewed this game, because this is not the Arsenal you grew up with. This is not the Arsenal that you fondly remember. This is the Arsenal of 2021, and it's going to be here to stay for a bit, and we might as well get used to it. But if they keep winning like they did, nobody will mind. So, yeah, this is also brought to you by about £3 less hair. As you can see, it's more grey than it usually is, but finally, after 4 months of Irish lockdown, we can now go out and get a haircut. But yeah, just before we start, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you that has either liked the video or commented or subscribed since we've started this over the last 3-4 months. We're almost at 500 subscribers now, which is insane. I didn't think it was going to get anywhere near this level of support, especially so quickly. Just in my head, well, look, I'm going to try this. Got the equipment, nice little setup here now. I'll give it a go. Maybe people will enjoy these. And, through, your support and your viewership, I'm not saying it's taking off. Like, I'm not going to be in a boxing ring with KSI in 2 years, but the support is very much well received. Thank you. And if you, like I said, if you do enjoy these videos and this is the first time you're looking at one, please feel free to, hit the like button at the end of it. Comment below if there's something you saw in this game that I didn't pick up and you want to talk about it. And if you want these videos in your inbox on a regular basis, hit the subscribe button and they'll be up either the day of or the following day of the game, depending on work schedule, life, etc. And yeah, this game, this is one of those games which is perfect for me, because on paper, as you can see here, as we already put Zuma making backward runs, which is what he never did all game. They on paper line up as a mirror image. Like it's Gabriel, Mari holding 3 centre backs, Tierney and Saka 2 wing backs. More on this in a minute. Elneny and Partey as centre midfielders who can both defend and attack, 2 attacking midfielders, and a forward to lead the line. Versus Chelsea, which had 3 centre backs, 2 full backs, wing backs, 2 centre midfielders who can both defend and get from box to box, 2 attacking midfielders, and a striker to lead the line. So you look at these immediately and go, right, okay, so they're both going to play the same. No. And that's the interesting thing about these. This is kind of why I started doing these videos, because nothing could be further from the truth. Arsenal did set up to defend, and they did set up to counter, and they did set up to take pressure. And if you are my age, I'm 38, or in and around 25, 30, and you were brought up on Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, then what you saw if you were watching this game in full was not something you recognise as quote-unquote Arsenal football. You saw a team that was determined at first to keep a clean sheet. And it's important to point out the following. For the last 2 or 3 years of Arsene Wenger's reign at Arsenal, myself amongst many, many, many others, our biggest point of order, I don't want to call it a complaint because they were still winning FA Cups deep into the end of his reign. But our biggest point of order was that Arsenal only knew how to play one way, and that was forward. They were never interested in winning 1-0. It was even at 2-0 up away from home with 20 minutes to go, they'd always be going for the third. They never killed games off. They never, sat back and went, right, okay, 2-0, that's grand, that's it. And as a result, we've got virtually 20 years of internal memory of Arsenal constantly attacking, always pushing players forward, always going on the attack, always going for the goal, always trying to entertain almost. We know Arsene Wenger's philosophy on football. It's to score as many goals as you can. And very few teams in the world have ever played like that. It is very much a big club mentality where winning isn't enough. You have to win, and you have to do it with your own sense of identity, where you stand out from the crowd, where your style of play is memorable, like we do with the Invincibles and the team that won in '98, and with Barcelona in 2009. It's that sense of Arsenal are on the telly. Oh, great, yeah, I'm going to watch that, no matter who they were playing and no matter what the team. Like there was 4 or 5 years in the mid 2000s where pretty much every Arsenal League Cup game was on, for the sole purpose of showing the kids at Arsenal, the young Van Persies, the young Fabregases, the Carlos Velas, the Arturo Lupolis, etc., the Danny Carbassiuns. Yes, I'm showing my age here, but you tune in to watch them, 17, 18-year-olds playing against a Premier League side at the time, like Man City, who would put out their full team because the League Cup was almost their best chance at silverware at the time. That's back in those days. And you would watch the kids try to put seven against them. And it was always entertaining, and it was always brilliant to watch. And you compare that with this Arsenal performance of last night, where you saw a fiercely determined, fiercely drilled, fiercely defensive Arsenal set up, well coached, well set up to nullify a Chelsea defence, and you're looking at it going, I'm not sure if that's the Arsenal I want. Yes, they won, but you're like, that, like, when Arsenal were playing Chelsea at the late 2000s and we were in peak Jose Mourinho ball, and Chelsea would, go to the Emirates, play exactly like Arsenal did at Stamford Bridge last night, and win 1-0, we'd go, can't play football like that. It's not just about winning. But I suppose the ends do justify the means in a way. I don't want to go down the road of correlation equaling causation, because it doesn't. But we have to recognise right now that Arsenal don't have the quality to go to places like Stamford Bridge and play 4-2-3-1 with an attacking midfield and 2 attacking fullbacks. They're just not that good. So they have to be pragmatic. They have to be cautious. They have to be realistic and go, right, okay, we're going to have to defend. And this was just one of those occasions. And I think in the future, at least the short-term future, maybe even the medium-term future, I don't think that's going to change. I think Arsenal, away from home especially in the big games, are going to line up exactly like they did. And what they did was very simple but very effective. Chelsea, as you can see, is 3-4-3. And Arsenal also in 3-4-3. But defending, Arsenal just basically built the Maginot line in front of their 18-yard box and went, you're not getting past it. Tierney would slot here, Saka at right back. Do I like him there? No, but I can understand it, and I'll explain why in a minute. Smith Rowe would go here, Elneny here, Partey here, and Odegaard here, and then Aubameyang here. Get through that. And every time Chelsea would knock the ball wide, they'd just move over. Elneny would shift over, Aubameyang, Partey, Odegaard. Of course, Reece James would push on, Chilwell would push on, Silva would push on, Azpilicueta would go wide, Zuma would go wide, Gilmour would go forward, try and, create some sort of overlap, and Jorginho would sit and just, basically do this and just knock the ball around, just keep everything ticking. And, Pulisic was encouraged to try and make runs behind. So was Mount, and so was Havertz. But Arsenal were so deep that there was just no room. Like, where do you go? And there was times, especially in the second half, with 40 minutes to go in the game, where this was the game, where everyone basically would almost be in the Arsenal half. And we saw this with City, where City did exactly the same thing with Arsenal, where Arsenal played deep, sat back and waited. And City's movement was that they would have 5 up front, basically, and these 5 would move and drag defenders all around the place. If this was De Bruyne, he'd end up here sometimes, which means Mari would come here, which means, if this was Sterling or Gundogan, there'd be space there. Chelsea weren't able to do that. Chelsea were too reliant on patterns of play and passing patterns to get in behind, just like Arsenal are. And as a result, they found their chances limited. They found it very hard to get, crosses from James in to the likes of Havertz or Mount because, Gabriel, Mari and Holding are just bigger than them. And every cross that came in went back out. The only time they really had any joy was when Arsenal had the ball and they countered them. And, Gilmore here, Jorginho here, and Arsenal, were having a little bit of joy. Arsenal had pushed up because they were trying to just escape. Tierney had gone, sauntering up. So had Saka. And Arsenal were trying to pass the ball out. And, Gabriel mishits it to Havertz and Havertz is in. That was really the only big chance Chelsea had for 70 minutes until they brought Giroud on. But apart from that, Chelsea had no answer to Arsenal's Maginot line. And Arsenal defended well. Like, the stats will show that Chelsea had 19 shots and 1.79 expected goals. That's not much. When you consider that Havertz was one-on-one in goal and, Kurt Zouma and Olivier Giroud both hit the crossbar from a corner, that's not much. That's not much at all. They had 16 chances created, but they were all half chances. Like, there was a lot of... When you've got this many bodies in the box, and they're all doing this, like, you can't really complain too much when your shots are being blocked, because of course they are. Arsenal are packed in, packed in like sardines in a tin. They are just there to do one thing, and that's get in the way. And yes, is it un-Arsenal? Maybe. But then, again, if you brought up an Arsene Wenger's Arsenal, it's very un-Arsenal. If you brought up a George Graham's Arsenal, this is a return to the old days. Never mind the adverts of the mid-80s with Aubameyang, and they're bringing out new jerseys. And yes, I can't really make a laugh of a jersey when I'm wearing a Leon kit that looks like Georgian wallpaper. But this was the plan. The plan was to go like this and just to frustrate Chelsea. And as you can see, look, 10-0. Like, that's what it was. And look, when Aubameyang went off with 10 minutes to go, the look on his face said it all. He's like, lads, I can't play like this. Like, I didn't come here to play like this. And I can't blame him. But it's at Chelsea. This is away at Stamford Bridge. This is maybe you want to count Man City, but this is the most informed team in England right now. And yes, they didn't play Kante. But as Piliqueta has been their second best centre-back all year, Thiago Silva is back fit and leading the line. Zuma's okay. Reece James, we'd all take in a heartbeat. Jorginho, yes, he made the mistake for the goal, and we'll show that in a second. Billy Gilmore's an exciting prospect. Pulisic, I would pay for. Havertz, I would pay for. And Mason Mount, I would pay for. You'd take 1, 2, 3, 4 of them and put them in the Arsenal team, no bother. At least you'd definitely have them in the Arsenal squad, easily. So this is a really good team. And they did very little against a very organised Arsenal defence. And like I said, we're just going to have to get used to this. Like, yes, it's not very pleasing on the eye, and yes, you wouldn't exactly pay a whole load of money to watch it, but sometimes you just got to be pragmatic in it and accept that you're not going to be entertained in every game, and that football is a game based on results, and we are basing Mikel Arteta's job security on getting results. They're 8th, 9th in the table. They're a heady 8th. Yes, 1 or 2 results go their way and they're 5th. Yes, they've played a game more, but if you take the table, there's a league table going around since the start of Christmas when they played 22 games. Arsenal are 3rd. So do I want to see Arsenal playing like this every game? No, of course not. Absolutely not. But it's Chelsea away. I can't fault it. It's just one of those situations where you don't have everyone fit, you don't have everyone ready to go, you don't have the players that you want. So you've got to put 1 or 2 square pegs in round holes. And can it be improved on? Absolutely. But this was a much better setup for Arsenal and the way they play. Much better. And there's definitely things that can be worked on that would improve it. So instead of showing the way Chelsea attacked, let's show the way Arsenal attacked. And I can show you the difference between the way the two teams use this formation. Because if we go to the heat map, you can see that Chelsea had a hell of a lot of the ball because Arsenal wanted them to have a hell of a lot of the ball. They were more than happy to see Chelsea just tap the ball around here in front of them, doing no damage. No harm done. And as you can see, Arsenal's proficiency with the ball in front of goal is less hectic, shall we say, to the point of non-existence. But as you can see, both teams had a different style, a different philosophy in how they wanted to attack in this formation. Chelsea, when they had the ball, they wanted to attack here. They wanted to attack in these gaps, in between the centre-backs, in between the three centre-backs. They want Havertz to go behind, and then they want Mount to go in here and Pulisic to go in here. They want to use, they want to keep things nice and narrow. Their width is here. So they want the ball to go in here, and then, get the ball to Pulisic here and get the ball to Mount here. Like I said, oh, there we go. Here and here. Yes, they go wide, but that's because Pulisic is more of a dribbler, and he wants to try and beat the centre back. And then, of course, because Arsenal are playing 94 defenders at the back, he has to beat the full back as well. But that's what Pulisic wants to get in here. That was not Arsenal's plan at all. Arsenal had a slightly more direct approach, shall we say. Because when Chelsea defend, Tuchel, to his credit, has come up with an ingenious solution to the problem of numbers when you defend with 5 at the back. Because when you defend with 5 at the back, you only have 5 players in front, because obviously 5 and 5 is 10. If you have 4, we'll call it, and you play 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 or whichever one you want, you've got 6 who can press. Does it leave your backline a little bit more exposed? Yes, but it gives you an extra option in pressing, which is why Pep Guardiola will usually play 4 at the back, because he likes his players to press really high up the pitch, and he wants all of them to do it. Usually, if this is Fernandinho, he'll sit here, and the 5 didn't mean to do that, but it's actually perfect, and the 5 will go hunting. Chelsea don't do that. What Chelsea have done, and it's really smart, they keep the 5 at the back, but they press with 5. But they don't always press in this kind of star shape. So let's say Tierney gets the ball. Gilmour will go here, Pulisic will go here, Havertz will go here. Chelsea, what they want to do, they want you to get the ball out wide and then basically cut you off. Just cut you off, cut circulation off, basically. Make sure you can't get the ball there, can't get the ball there, can't get the ball there. And now you're stuck. So now you either have to hoof it, or what happened against Chelsea, he tried to get the ball here, as Piliqueta caught in, goes through, and they score. That's what Chelsea want to do. They want to try and cut you off. So, and then if you try and knock it around the back, instead of attacking as this star 5, they will push forward. As Piliqueta will come here, Zuma will come here, and they'll almost leave Silva one-on-one. James will push forward, Chilwell will push forward, and suddenly you're getting swarmed. Now what? If you're Gabriel and you're trying to get the ball out, where do you go? So Chelsea can switch on the drop of a hat, and it's impressive. And the best way to exploit that is to attack the spaces. And if they do this, the best way to attack the spaces is getting in here. Knock it over the top of James, over the top of Azpilicueta and Zuma, and try to get Saka and Tierney in here. And that's exactly what they did. It was Not very nuanced. It was not very complicated. But as soon, like I said, if Gilmore's here and Jorginho's here, what Arsenal do regularly, these three would split out wide, very wide, to play as a three. And as soon as Gabriel got the ball, Tierney was off. And he would force James to go with him. Which meant this is now open for Smith Rowe. If Pulisic tries to cover, Elneny comes short. And Elneny came short a lot because Pulisic was very good at covering off Gabriel. Elneny would come short. Gilmore now has to run. And now, as Piliquet has a choice, he has to come here. And now it's a case of, can Elneny get the ball to Smith Rowe, and can Smith Rowe turn as Piliqueta? And often the answer to that was yes. Because any time Elneny did get the ball to Smith Rowe was able to turn him, and now Arsenal are in. It didn't happen too often, just because Arsenal didn't have the ball too often. But this was the plan. It was to isolate Odegaard and Smith Rowe and bring these centre-backs forward like Chelsea like to do, because they want to push up as high as possible. And then that ball around the corner. And the same for Saka at right back. And this is why I don't like Saka at right back. Because it works brilliantly with Tierney. Tierney, again, I know Luke Shaw has been really good since Christmas, but if Tierney could have stayed fit, he was nailed on to be Premier League's best left back of the season. He's been an absolute menace running up and down. And there was 2 or 3 occasions where he'd get to here and either Gabriel or Smith Rowe or Elneny couldn't find the ball to release him, and you'd see him turn back with a face of just utter disdain almost at his teammate, just going, for God's sake, just after making a brilliant run and you've screwed it up again. And he was, of course, using slightly more coarse language, but it was on because he was stretching the field. The problem with Saka at right back, and it's always going to happen, is that if Odegaard does the same, Chilwell, not that Saka's left foot dominant because he's okay on his right foot, but Chilwell can almost can cheat a little bit. He can come inside and still offer support. James has to be wary of in here and in here because Tierney, as he showed against West Brom, can shoot from here. So James is kind of caught, betwixt and between. He has to choose almost a side, and Tierney can then just bomb past him either or. Or what Tierney likes to do is stop him. A bit like a basketball move. Stop, make it look like he's going to run there, and then jink on. Saka is always going to cut in on his left foot. Always. And as a result, when they tried the same trick down the right wing, it doesn't have the same effect because Chilwell can go, oh, okay, I'm just going to sit back. Because I know you're going to get the ball here and you're going to do this. So I'll just wait. And I wonder if this is going to be the long-term formation for Arsenal, because I know they've had some success playing this 4-2-3-1 with Xhaka at centre-back, but at left-back / centre-back, whatever you want to call him, the quarterback almost at this point. But with the amount of centre-backs that Arsenal have, playing 3 gives the likes of Thomas Partey just that extra little bit of freedom to express himself. And he was excellent again in this game. Yes, he misplaced a couple of passes, but Chelsea attacked down the right a lot because Partey was covering so much ground, getting in the way of passes, just like he would have been taught at Atletico Madrid by Diego Simeone, that they couldn't really attack down this side too much because he was doing such a good job. And he can then bomb on, knowing that if he does, and if Saka bombs on, and if Tierney bombs on, he's got Elneny behind him, and he's got 3 centre-backs. So Partey was able to be a little bit more effective anytime Arsenal did have the ball, and yes, it didn't happen much, but I just wonder if this is the long-term formation for Arsenal, where they end up attacking sometimes in positions like this. And I don't want Saka there. I want Saka there. Because he's good enough on the ball to pick a pass out. He's good enough on the ball to beat a centre-back off the dribble. And I'd just rather have him in space. And he's going to be running in space more here as an inside right than he is as a right back. And if this space is free, then you can have a proper all-round right back who can go up and down the same way as Tierney does. Now, do they grow on trees? No, they do not. But someone with the defensive capability of Tierney and almost the same attacking capability as Tierney would be fantastic. It's, Bellerin 3 years ago would have been perfect. Bellerin now, I don't know. And that's the problem Arsenal have right now. They have 3 right backs and didn't play any of them. Like, Chambers is okay, but we remember the West Ham game fondly because he was acting like Cafu, but has he looked anything like that since? No. Cedric Suarez is a fine backup, but that's what he is. He's a backup. And Bellerin is off his peak. Like, is there a player in there? Maybe, but it just seems as if that relationship has run its course with Arsenal and he just wants a new challenge. So if it's me, I'd rather have Saka there, and if Tariq Lamptey can get fit, if Yunus Atal can be somehow prized out of Nice, that'd be fantastic. But someone of that ilk that can bomb up and down and be competent defensively as well would make this system fantastic. Like, if you were to say that your 3 up front in a year or 2 years' time is going to be Smith Rowe, Saka and Martinelli, with Tierney one wing, a really good right back the other wing, Partey dictating things in the middle, and a really good box to box / defensive midfielder, someone like Yanni Bissouma from Brighton, someone of that ilk. Or if you want Partey to be slightly more defensively but still have the capability to go up, you bring in someone like Houssem Aouar from Lyon and you let him conduct things and let Partey join in. This seems just a better fit for what Arsenal are trying to do than the 4-2-3-1 they were doing the last month. This just seems a better use of a lot more players' skill sets. Now, the only problem is that do they have a number 9? Because as we saw, he gets very isolated. And Aubameyang's job is to run through there, and when he gets no service, he walks off after 79 minutes with the look of a man that knows he's just wasted an evening's work. And that's going to happen. It does put a lot of pressure on these 2 players, but if we think these 2 players are going to be the generational talents that they're going to be, then we have to give them responsibility. Maybe Odegaard right now is an expensive luxury. Smith Rowe is developing into a player that we think. Saka has already developed into a player that we think. If Tierney can stay fit, he's perfect for that left wing job, and then I feel that you could buy a better right back for the money Arsenal have and for the player that Arsenal are going to be able to compete for than buying Martin Odegaard and playing Saka here. Like if William Saliba comes back and he plays here, Gabriel is fine at left centre back, Holding's doing a good enough job, and Callum Chambers and those 2 can compete for that role there. A right back and a centre midfielder. And suddenly Arsenal aren't looking too bad. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see over the summer, in which Mikel Arteta has promised to clear out, and how the squad is going to change. I think the template against Chelsea is a far better template to build on than the one we've seen over the last month. And yes, it's not going to look like the Arsenal of old, but it's 2021. It's time to embrace the new, and I have more confidence in last night's tactics working than I do in pretty much any other plan that Mikel Arteta has come up with so far. And I didn't think I'd be saying that after a game at Chelsea. Again, if you like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you have any comments on what you saw, or if you saw something in the game, comment down below and we'll have a discussion about it. If you want to, tweet me or follow me, you can either follow the website at Daily Cannon or me personally down here at Bradley08. And if you want these videos in your inbox on a regular basis, hit the subscribe button and they'll be with you the day of the game or the day after the game, depending on work. And yeah, thanks for enjoying this episode of the Daily Cannon Tactics Board. I've been Stephen Bradley, and we'll talk to you next time. Good luck.